Hello everyone, welcome to 12am coding. So in this particular tutorial, we will be continuing our REST template thing and we will be learning about one more new concept here. Okay, so if you already watched the last video of this particular section, then in that one we have created one test fruit API, and this API is doing nothing but calling a different API from the another microservice. Okay, and this is the microservice in which we have just simply created a fruit get API, and it is returning you the simple string. Okay, and then that particular string we are just returning from here, and then it is returning us on the UI. So if you see, or browser actually, so in this particular I am hitting this test fruit URL, it is returning me the apple, and this apple is coming from this particular endpoint which is in the different microservice. Okay, so we have already seen an example of get for entity, and as in the last tutorial I have told that get for entity will be returning you the response entity, which will be containing the metadata also. Metadata means like some extra information. So in the response you can get the status code also, or multiple things you can get. Okay, now the thing is that we are just calling the string. Okay, we are returning the string. Now for example, if you are having some object actually, okay, and then directly you want to return into your controller, then how you can do? So for example, I'll be doing one thing, that I'll be just creating one more controller here. Okay, let's say get mapping only, and it will be getting some extra things. Okay, so for example, it will be getting specific fruit, so some fruit. Okay, some fruit is the URL for this particular API, and I'll be creating one class actually for getting this fruit. Let's say fruit class, and this fruit class will be having your two things. For example, name of the fruit and then private string price of the fruit. Okay, and for this one, let's say let me create a getters and setters and constructor also. Let's say we want, then I can create the getter setters also just for using it later. Okay, so we have created the getter setter and a constructor. Now let's say it will be returning you the fruit now. Okay, this particular fruit class, and let's say get fruit will be the function name. Okay, and this will be returning you, let's say simple, a new fruit it will be returning. Okay, and this fruit, let's say uh, orange, and rate is, let's say price is 100 rupees per kg. Okay, this is returning you the simple fruit. Okay, so if I just rerun our particular microservice, okay, and then move to this particular URL, and if let's say we will call this some fruit, then it is returning as a JSON rather than a string, name and price. Okay, so for example, that rather than returning the string, you want to get some specific pojo from the code actually, from the another microservice, then how you can do? So let me do one thing, that this fruit class we are returning in this particular API, right? So let me just simply copy this fruit class into this another microservice also, Spring Demo. And in this one, what I'm going to do, through the controller, I'm going to create one more get mapping. Okay, and in this get mapping, let's say fruit only. Okay, this particular will be returning the fruit, and then this will be returning you the fruit. Okay, and let's say fruit is the function name. Okay, and in this particular case we will be using the rest template dot get for object actually. Okay, and this will be returning you the specific object. Okay, and rather than the response entity, it will be returning you that simple specific object. So I'll be go here, and I'll be copying this some fruit endpoint, and we can paste here, and this will be returning as the fruit dot class. Okay, and this particular get for object will be returning you a simple fruit. Okay, and then you can return your fruit here. Okay, so this is a simple concept, so it will say for the inline, so I am just making it as inline. Okay, so if I run this particular code again, then what should happen, that in last tutorial we have read about get for entity, which is returning you the response entity, but in this particular case we are directly returning the class whatever we need. Okay, so get for object is the function. So if we call our this particular API, let's say we will be going to the another URL 8090, it is running this particular microservice, and if we call this fruits, then if you see, it is also returning as the JSON actually pojo, Java pojo we are getting from this. Okay, so this is what get for object is. So yes guys, that's it for this particular tutorial. In the next tutorial we will be reading about how we can call the post API with the request. Okay, so stay tuned, see you, thank you.